Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Masonry Strong podcast. Today we are joined with Dick Dentinger, the chairman of the MCAA.
Hey there, doing well.
So how's media going for you? How would you compare it to the other ones you've been to?
The last decade or so, they've been a string of wonderful mid-years, and it's always a gamble. You never know. The weather. You never know attendance because people have things going on, and it's not the easiest place to get to. It's spectacular when you get here. You got to see behind us, but so I don't know if I'd be here in February, but I'm loving it right now.
If you are listening or watching this, whether it be Spotify or YouTube, we do have one of the nicest views I've ever seen behind us. So it's awesome that we get to do that. But tell me about your journey into the masonry industry. How'd you get started?
Well, I was kind of baptized in it. There was I had opportunity to leave it and came back. My folks had a company in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and my father worked for his uncle after he got out of the Navy. And eldest son, he had to go, couldn't go to college. He had to go and start supporting your family, and he did, and they did real well, and were always active in MCAA back then. But they were growing up in Milwaukee was a wonderful life. But they put us to work. They forced us, they made us go to a private schooling.
Okay.
But then put us to work, and we had to pay for it. So I worked as a tender on the scaffold throughout high school, and went to college and paid for it by working. They always paid us just enough so that we wouldn't go out and buy cars or anything. They wanted us to help them pay for tuition and learn about the world.
Yeah.
And it was my favorite part of growing up was working on those job sites with World War II vets, Vietnam vets. I mean, they were real men who, it was just incredible. And I was a gabber and loved to visit with them. And it was just a very good experience. But then I left and went into radio and advertising. I wanted to do that, went to Minnesota, and that's where I met my wife. But so we both were in that field for 4 or 5 years, and it was working. Yeah. I was doing well, but I kept getting pulled back, what it would be like to be back in the family and, business. And I had to beg to work for them. I had to write letters and lobby for them to hire me back. But that's how my folks were. They nothing was silver spoon. You had to earn it. Yeah. So I took a 60% cut in pay and went back and started from the bottom in the office. And then my brother and I went from there and managed a business in St. Paul, Minnesota. And that's where I'm working now. And awesome. Just always trying to learn.
Yeah. So you've been involved with the MCAA for quite a long time. How did you get to where you are now as being chairman? How did that journey go, and how did you climb that ladder?
Well, whatever we had going on, and there's in construction, it's up and down years, and it's life lessons along the way. But my parents always sent us to the conventions to learn from somebody with a different last name. Because my dad and mom would all say, we don't know everything. There's other people who do it different. And so they would send me to these conventions, and I would rub shoulders with people from different markets and different expertises. And we ended up doing joint ventures with other companies, D. Brown Masonry, and doing learn how to do stonework and things like that. And it paid off. It was like a master's degree over time. But then you volunteer, and you're on a committee and stuff like that. My dad always said, he quoted, I think it was Teddy Roosevelt, that whatever industry you're in, you're obligated to not just take from the industry, you should give back to it. Yeah. And then I use it even I learned that from my dad, but on a micro and macro level, you got to use it. And for me, every day, when you got to like going to work. Yeah. It's been my philosophy. We have a fun atmosphere at our office because I don't want to work unless it's going to be a pleasant experience. And, you'll go to family functions and hear people complain about their job, for decades. And we have fridges to fill up with food and that, but we sure better enjoy what we do for a living. So that's what I try to do. I try to influence my family. My wife does it to me. We just try to enjoy whatever it is you're doing and learn from other people not think you're all that. So
That's awesome. Well, what's interesting about you is that your father was also the chairman of the MCAA, correct?
yeah, and as a young man, he was in the mid '80s. He was chairman. Wow, and he warned me because he's like, whatever's going on, there's going to be some fire.
Yeah.
That there's recessions that come and go. There's bad projects. There's people are king of their domain, and they could have somebody not paying them and have a world of hurt, and that's just life. But he when he was chairman, the association almost imploded. The economy was bad, and then there was a whole union non-union battle, which is nonsense and no longer an issue. But his personality, had a very good personality, but he held, I think he contributed to holding the association together because he was a very funny person, and he, during tough times, people like to participate because of him. I think.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What has it been like seeing the MCAA grow to where it is today from when your dad was the chairman to when now you're the chairman? What is that like?
Well, I think, we're not, it's not only us, it's everywhere you look.
Yeah.
If you don't embrace change and technology, and you'll get run over because it's a runaway train.
Yeah.
There's no stopping it, and you should try to participate and enjoy. And MCAA is truly a national association, and like even at the meetings today, we had the contractor roundtable, and at the table with me, there's an outfit that he's working just as hard as I am, and across from us, there's a guy working just as hard as I am, and Melanie from our board, she and her husband are in the hallway talking, and Melanie, you got to come in here, we got to do a picture. They want a picture, and they're going back and forth about a rebar order. And, they have little kids, and I'm just thinking, so what, you're 10 o'clock, you're going to bed, and you're discussing whether or not you've ordered the right product. But it's whether you got 5 people working for you, 50 or 500, and we've got them all.
Yeah.
You have the same war wounds. You just have different keys for different cars.
Yeah.
It's irrelevant your size. And that message, I think, has worked with MCAA.
Yeah. Once
upon a time, people thought, you have to be a big high roller to be part of it, and you do not. 70% of our membership is mom and pop companies where they might be operating out of their home.
Yeah. So that's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And with the advancement of new technology, like some of the meetings we've had today, we kind of displayed some of that. What is that like? Is it easy for you to kind of keep up with it? Or are you very open to it?
I could lie and say it is not easy. I mean, I'm in my early 60s now, so I'm learning to do all that, but very open to it.
That's awesome.
I mean, I'm excited. It's going to keep me young because I want to participate. And I have a daughter who's in media and works for influencing with a major retailer, and my other daughter is we have 2 daughters. She's also in a very thoughtful publishing company, and dealing with interpersonal and the disc management, how people interact. And so I'm enjoying the heck of it. I wish I was 38 years old right now.
Yeah.
Because there's lots that we're going to witness, I think.
Sure. And, just as far as the industry has come such a long way, what do you think is like your favorite part of seeing it grow? If you had to pinpoint one thing.
Well, like, is there an older industry than ours?
Exactly.
Probably not. But we're thriving just as much as all the new, fresh industries. Yeah. I do think it's like a war. I mean, you have to be dialed in. I just wrote the most recent column. It's everything, everywhere, all at once, like that movie for the chairman's column. And that's a challenge to you, by the way. Thank you. Yeah. But it's just there's multiple fronts, and we got to manage their jobs, we manage our office, we manage our customers, and then simultaneously to that, we have to, banking, bonding, but we have to protect our market share, or our industry will be designed out. There's somebody, on the front of all these buildings, there's different products, and it's up to us to fight for it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And what else do you get up to outside of work when you're not,
Well, I've no choice. I always tell Cheryl, my beautiful, incredible wife, who we work with. I mean, she's manages most of our office administrative and payroll and that. And she probably would like to not do that, but she's doing it to help us as we transition different parts of our company. But she's all about dogs.
Okay.
We have an Aussie Doodle who thinks he's part German Shepherd sometimes if there's another male dog. But she does, Cheryl's incredible. She took on Taekwondo and became a black belt.
Yeah.
She takes on agility, and suddenly she's training this dog to do incredible things that I whispered that you're wasting your time. That he's never going to do that. But she competes, and so I promised her when I'm done serving with this, we'll travel around doing that if she wants to. And she goes to trials, they're called, and the dogs are funny because all they want to do is please you.
Yeah.
But then they'll also smell something and stop in the middle of a competition where they were in first place, but they want to go see what's going on and stop. So it's a riot. She's very good at it, and I think she's gonna next train him as he gets older to be a service dog.
Oh, nice.
Or visit elderly and stuff like that.
Awesome. And being in the industry as long as you've been and meeting all the people that you've met, knowing the ins and outs of it, what are 3 things that you think you need to have, 3 traits that you need to have in order to be successful in this industry? Whether it's supplier, contractor.
Well, I'll relate it to contractor, but it could also work if you were a sales manager or a salesperson. And anyone can catapult past others in the pecking order. If you want to achieve, you can do it.
Yeah.
And I'm not. There's plenty of people done way better than I have, but all I mean is that it's up to you to control the path you take, and especially with young people, I just think that it's so easy to impress that you're interested in more. But if you're going to be a contractor, the scariest part is they're going to be brilliant people who never went to college, but they're the smartest people in the room, as an example.
Yeah.
And could build, you could do a high rise in Chicago, and that you'd want that person on your team. And because of it, because they're so good, so quick, and they know it, I should have my own company.
Yeah.
And they should.
Cool.
But financing, it'll cripple you. You could do everything right, and your customer could have something going on you didn't know about and not pay you. And you can't just say, please. You can't say, I'm sorry, I meant this. They smell blood, you get crippled. But it's just a job. Anyone can do it. You just have to put hours in. I'm sure you work long hours and you think about work when it's not work day. So good for you. Why couldn't you do something? And so I think that, and these guys filming, they're doing their own thing. Whatever you do, you can do it. But you have to be. I encourage people to take partners or you have sponsors, have somebody who will guide you and advise you, which is one of the main reasons to come here. You can meet and get network and partners and friends who aren't competing with you on Tuesday and Thursday on bid day, but they know the pain and dangers you're trekking in.
Yeah.
And I got people in all, most of the 50 states I could call up and say, I got a problem.
Yeah.
What do you think? And they'll help you.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I know that happens in every industry, but if you're going to do something and not participate in associations like that, okay, well, good luck when there's trouble.
Exactly. Is it hard for you to turn your work brain off?
I would say no. And for me, it's more hard to turn off the influencing.
Okay.
I like to help. I so miss, it's a tough one, but my daughters, they met men and married them, and they stopped calling me. And once they got married, and I miss those days of helping and influencing and reassuring, because my parents did that for me and my brother.
Yeah.
My brother Bill, when we were going through stuff, and we could build anything, but if they'd seen our bank account, the bank and bonding company vouched for us because of my parents.
Okay.
In the early years, and because they knew we had a consultants. But that, for me, it's just harder to turn off trying to help leave them, leave things in order and help people. And it doesn't have to be work. It could be anything.
Is that how your dad was? I never met your dad, but
Yeah, you would have liked him. And my mother. My mother's here. You
I love
met
your
her?
Yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah, she's 84, but I think she's 64. I don't know. She was climbing up these steps. But yeah, he was, I think my father, he could have been a very wealthy person, but he was, and he did great in his life, but he was more interested in being good at what he did and helping family. And he raced cars. That was his hobby, where he'd forget about work. He would go race vintage Triumph TR3, and he was a big, heavy guy driving as fast as he could. It wasn't about winning. In the back of his 59 TR3, he had a slow-moving vehicle with a sign on it. So these Ferraris and Porsches, he'd pass them on the turns, but on the straightaways, they'd pass him because he kept his engine pure at that. Yeah.
That's funny. Were you into cars too and racing at all? Or?
Not at all. And I mean, he never taught me any of that stuff. And when I get to watch movies, I fast forward through car chases. I don't get it. I loved his cars, but I would have driven them 30 miles an hour down Summit Avenue in St. Paul. It's not fast, you know.
Is there anything that you were into as a kid that you're still into and still keep up with?
I love old movies. I love.
What's your favorite movie?
I would say Rear Window or On the Waterfront. Rear Window and Casablanca.
Oh, nice.
And any month it changes the order, but I don't think you can go wrong with Casablanca. And I don't know, I try to reference them occasionally.
I noticed it.
But it's getting hard, you know, because like those are black and white.
Yeah.
And they're constantly making references that just don't work anymore. I know.
Yeah.
Like cell phones, and you can't try so hard. It doesn't work anymore.
Writing those columns, do you enjoy it, getting to give, all of your years of knowledge out to those people in your own way? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
because you're very. I love the way you write. I do. I know you always say you don't write well, but I love the way you write personally.
Well, I started using verbs, column 3. I know that helped, but no, I appreciate that, and I've told you, tell me when I'm off guard. And in fact, my wife Cheryl's been my editor, proofreader, and there have been a couple she's turned away. She's like, "What happened to you? You got all dark," And as I was going through something, I'm sorry. But yeah, I just tend to just write something down when just like a phrase comes to mind, and then go with it. But I think it's important. Hopefully, you tell the next guy, Kent. Yeah, it is important to just be yourself.
Yeah.
Whether it's a column or a discussion, whatever you're doing, don't try to be someone you're not.
Yeah. For
And I loved reading the Texas guys' columns.
Yeah.
All y'all, it'd be silly for them to try to pretend they're from somewhere else.
Exactly. As we wrap up here, I'll end it by asking you, what does Masonry Strong mean to you?
Well, Masonry Strong, I believe that's been a great phrase that we captured recently, because it is exactly that. It's endured for so long. Yeah. And we are, we are the honorary, we're in charge of it. Yeah. We are supposed to keep it going for those who are after us. And it's kind of an easy thing to do. We just have to not stop talking about it. And it is a brand that will continue after we're gone, like the buildings we build. Yeah. They are monuments, and they're so creative nowadays. The different ways and scales masonry is being used. We're fortunate to be part of it. I hated driving anywhere with my family as a kid, because my brother was a bricklayer. I was not, and we were going out to dinner, where we would be going, and my brother and my dad it'd take 20 minutes long to go wherever we're going, because they want to drive by a building they built or worked out.
Okay.
And there'd be some story about what issue they had on that scaffold, but it's because it's the electricians couldn't point at that. It's the other trades don't get to say. They can, but it's not the same as saying that wall. Over that window, we had this thing come up, and it's really kind of fun to be part of that.
Yeah, awesome. Well, Dick, thank you for joining us today. It was awesome. I appreciate it.
No problem, Justin. You're really good at this.
Yeah, thank you. And we'll see you guys next time.